Okay, so here's my official spoiler-free, just a theory for Stranger Things Season 5. Actually, the whole Stranger Things cinematic universe. Here's my theory, which I gathered from studying the Duffer Brothers, what they said their influences were, as well as just overall trends and similar characters I see being played on the screen, and all the connections to Dungeons and Dragons, and just what I predict the season 5 ending will be. So just walk with me here as I tell you what I was able to think. And yeah, I put my ideas in the chat GPT because I don't know how to type all of this on my own. It would have took me way too long. So chat GPT is just conveying what I already believe. So everything I use voice text, I just spoke into what I believed, and they kind of contextualize it in a sense. Okay, so here's my theory about Stranger Things as we head into season 5. It's all based on the movies that the Duffer Brothers love, the timeline of each season, Stephen King's influence, and the Dungeons and Dragons campaign logic. This is not a spoiler or a leak. It's just pattern spotting on my behalf, all right? So I just wanted to make that clear because I had to make sure posting on forums and, YouTube policies, this is not a leak, by any means. It's just a theory, and I feel like it's like a multiverse theory, kind of like the Duffer Brothers are playing a huge campaign with Stephen King. It's all crazy, but it's high. Okay, so each season mirrors the movies released in that year. So the Duffer Brothers pull themes, imagery, and tone from real 80 movies. So 1983 season 1 vibes. You got Videodrome, Strange Invaders, Extra, alternate reality, psychic trauma, body distortion, matches the Upside Down being stuck in 1983 through Will and Eleven's trauma. Then you got, particularly about season 5 vibes, which is based in 1987, you got Predator, RoboCop, The Lost Boys, Inner Space, The Princess Bride. Bigger scale, more action, body space distortion. It matches the Duffers saying season 5 is cinematic and it's massive. So Stephen King is the Duffer Brothers' #1 influence, right? It's the DNA of It, The Body, Carrie, Firestarter, The Mist, runs through the whole show. So the themes in both It and Stranger Things, kids versus ancient evil, cycles of trauma, small town secrets, psychic children, adults returning to finish what they started, right? They even say, the Duffer Brothers said themselves, season 5 goes back to where it all begins, right? Tell me how that doesn't have It written all over it with the Losers Club and them having to return to face, Pennywise, and just they have to end the trauma where it all started, which is them as kids. So this all seems like a big multiverse Duffer Brothers Stephen King one big D&D campaign. It's crazy. Or crazier connection is the It gets meta. So Finn Wolfhard, who is Mike Wheeler, played Richie Tozer in It in 2017. It feels like Mike left the Stranger Things D&D table to join another cosmic horror campaign. He fought another shape-shifting interdimensional entity, same archetype, different story world. Not a spoiler, just a cool parallel the Duffers would absolutely love. I mean, I'm saying if you're looking at it from a cinematic universe, this is one big D&D campaign between the Duffer Brothers and Stephen King, and then and this is totally two merged campaigns within a cinematic universe, which is Stranger Things and It. Crazy. Another thing I noticed, which is crazy, this is all just me noticing patterns. So It, Welcome to Derry released the same month as Stranger Things season 5. Probably intentional. Both stories deal with childhood trauma resurfacing, adults returning to confront old evil, history repeating, towns haunted by older forces, time loop cycles. The synergy is just too strong to ignore. So I also looked at the cinematic. Go look at the trailers for It, Welcome to Derry, and just look at the season 5 trailer coming out for Stranger Things season 5 and tell me it doesn't mirror each other. Even the characters in there, it's too similar to not ignore. Of course, this is just my fan theory, of course, but again, think of it as one big D&D campaign between the Duffer Brothers and Stephen King, and it's all based off of it's all interconnected, and it's all based on the moves of the previous season, the previous campaign, or if two movie geniuses were doing a D&D campaign and were putting it into the plots of their TV shows, and it was their real life D&D campaign was affecting what goes on the screen, the timing of everything. It all connects. It's crazy. Okay, so the adult campaign in Stranger Things mirrors the adults in It. Let me check it. Let me tell you why. The adult characters in Stranger Things form their own D&D style mentor level party. Hopper, the warrior with unresolved guilt. Joyce, intuitive protector, mother archetype. Murray, the knowledge keeper, the truth finder. Karen Wheeler's like the moral center, the grounded adult. Pal and Callahan and Lucas's parents, structural guardians of the town. Just like Stephen King's stories, adults healing their emotional wounds so the kids can defeat the supernatural threat. And this also plays into like, the it factor when, the Losers Club had to return to face, their trauma so that the kid versions of themselves could succeed. Something along those lines. You guys peep my connection. Pause this moment. Go look at the two cinematic storylines between the parents in Stranger Things and the parents in It, and you'll see exactly my correlation, what I'm talking about. It's all a part. And if you look at it from a D&D campaign as well, too, the adults play just as big of a role in the evolution of the kids. It almost seems like certain parts, like they're to guide them. They're there to help them through this stage so that they can pass on to the next level and actually heal. It's crazy. Stay with me now. The Stranger Things is a D&D multiverse, right? So that's my theory, is like every season is a D&D campaign module, right? The villain, a classic D&D monster, reimagined. The kids are players leveling up. The adults are mentor NPCs. Alternate realities, the Upside Down, Dream Space, 1983 freeze equals like the cosmic campaign layers. The show behaves like a massive interlinked D&D style multiverse with 80 films acting like source books. And this is something I learned from just really going back and watching like hours of Duffer Brothers interviews. They tend to intentionally say like Star Wars in certain movies, but they leave out a lot of popular movies that happened each year that heavily influenced them and could be a connection between, the whole cinematic universe. It's like a multiverse, kind of like, I don't know. It's like it's all connects in a sense. So yeah, that's a major theory I have. So here's like my full multiverse theory in one line. So Stranger Things is the Duffer Brothers' giant love letter to Stephen King, 80s blockbusters in D&D, with each season mirroring the exact movies it's in universe year. While season 5 and It, Welcome to Derry released together like parallel campaigns converging. This is just a thematic observation, not a spoiler at all. I'm just excited because it feels like everything the Duffers love is coming full circle. And that's kind of how I feel like just watching and trying to connect, because it all connects back to season 1. So when you see like different producers jumping in to produce certain seasons, and it just with Stephen King giving it a 10 out of 10, it just all plays back into like a multiverse theory, which is, Stranger Things is the Duffer Brothers' giant love letter to Stephen King, 80s blockbusters in D&D. So again, this is just a thematic observation. It's not like a spoiler, but you got to still walk with me. No, I'm not done. Have you ever noticed how the Duffer Brothers' love for classic 80 movies and Stephen King stories seem to bleed into the Stranger Things? Every season almost feels like a tribute to their favorite films, and there's a lot more going on beneath the surface of just the references. So season 1 through 2, 1983, the horror and sci-fi vibe is unmistakable. From Videodrome to Strange Invaders and Extra, you can feel how the Upside Down freezes moments in time, almost like a nod to the 80s trauma of the characters. So like seasons 3 and 4, the Duffer Brothers lean into like Scooby-Doo, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, April Fool's Day, House, Highlander, and Solar Baby. It's fun, terrifying, and nostalgic all at once. Season 4 through 5 build up 1986 and 1987. Films like Predator, RoboCop, Lost Boys, Inner Space, and The Princess Bride seem to influence the tone, stakes, and the adventures of the elements, leading into season 5 being the most cinematic, but like cinematically dark horror-wise that we've ever seen from any season in Stranger Things. So the movie connections by each season. So if you have time, I know we got less than a week, but just go back and rewatch each season, and then you can kind of like do the correlations between what you see in Stranger Things and the most popular movies or TV shows that came out during that year that the season was based in. So 1983 all the way up to 1987, basically. So the Stephen King It vibes, right? So with It, Welcome to Derry releasing the same month as Stranger Things Season 5, there's a strong thematic parallel. Both stories explore the lasting impact of childhood trauma, small town fear and mystery, adults revisiting past events to help the younger generation, time jumps, this is important, that mix past and present perspectives. So in a D&D through line, for fans of D&D, Stranger Things continues the metaphor. Teens equal PCs on high-stakes quests. Adults equals mentors, resource providers, or guides helping the party confront fears. Trauma and fear, monsters, traps, or psychic challenges. I couldn't help escape this, especially in Season 3. It just felt like the adults were so important in Season 3 to dealing with like Max's trauma with Billy and 11 with her dealing with her trauma of, just being a teenage girl. It was just everything kind of resembled like the men in their lives and being able to let go. Even with Joyce, with her learning how to do things on her own. It was just everything connected. Like if you looked at it from a mentor style, it just seems like everything that they did in Season 3 was like, it felt like they were like, okay, are they learning the lesson to be able to move on to the next level? This takes me back to why 1983 matters in Season 1. 1983 is not random. The Duffer Brothers chose it for symbolic narrative and horror genre reasons. So 1983 was a boom for psychic horror, a boom year for alternate reality sci-fi, a boom year for technophobia, video drone, war games, which I think Hopper said he was a big fan of war games, which goes back to my D&D. This is all one big D&D campaign 2 theory. But anyways, a year of body horror influence for Vecna and the Mind Flayer, a year defining America's satanic panic, whatever they said was going on that year with the Dungeons and Dragons game. It was a global, everybody was tripping on that. A year with government conspiracy thriller themes, a year about missing children and moral fear. Stranger Things observed all of this. It's very important to talk about the trauma that they address with Will and 11, with Will, it's him being able to come out comfortably. And then with 11 seeing so, as a young girl with this man, Brenner, who controls everything she's doing, being able to break free of that. Just the actual real life trauma is like intertwined into 1983 and what was going on when the TV and the movie cinematic drama. So they do a really good job connecting this in Season 5, I bet. All right. Why the Upside Down is frozen on November 6, 1983. This is key to Season 5. The Duffers said the freezing of the Upside Down is not a random thing. It's a major plot point for Season 5. So why freezing on that day? Because November 6, 1983 was the exact moment two events occurred. 11 opened the first gate. Will Byers was taken. These two events happened almost simultaneously. This is the collision point in the timeline. The day is a singularity day in like the movie cinematic verse or whatever. So this is all questions that I asked and was just like basically saying, do you see a resemblance between 11 in the lab and Will? Both parents are missing. Their parents aren't there, right? Due to this, there's negligence in a sense. So Will goes missing. 11 is just being used to do whatever by experimenting on in a lab. Dr. Brenner's controlling her, having her do things. And they both meet when 11 sees that Demogorgon. He turns around. It's a trauma point for her. Same thing for Will. When he's taken into the Upside Down, now we know exactly what that trauma point was with Vecna. And even the Demogorgon, bruh, if you look at this similarity, it could be related to the Demogorgon being like Lonnie taking Will somewhere, maybe for money or some type of trauma exploited with Lonnie and Will. So what does it symbolize? So it's trauma freeze. When a traumatic event happens, abuse, collapse, accident, the brain often freezes time. The upside down is literally a world frozen in the moment of trauma. This connects to Eleven's trauma, Will's trauma, Vecna's trauma, Hawkins' collective trauma. Everything shattered in 1983 just stopped, you can say, with the horror films coming out, the television shows coming out. That's like Hawkins' trauma, right? Like, all right, the parents are seeing this. The kids are now seeing these horror films and they're being broadcasted wide stream. There's television shows. Even the television as a whole is just becoming more of like taking up time between kids and their parents. I don't know. This is my theory. This is not at all true. This is what because I took film as art and communication in college. So it allows me to look at movies and TV shows in a different way. It actually allows me to see like the undertone. What's the director trying to convey? What's the story behind that? What is the connection? What is the real life issue connected into the cinematic version that we're seeing on TV? So 1983 is very important. If you go back and look up all the events that happened during 1983, of course, the Duffer Brothers were alive during 1983. Stephen King was well aware over 1983. Stephen King was actually a part of the movies that were being pushed in TV shows in 1983 as just this new genre. It was a boom in the horror, science, sci-fi. And how do parents feel about that? So the upside down is not a world, it's a memory. This is the biggest lore bomb. The upside down is not a natural dimension. It's a psychic echo, a memory factor built on Will's memories, Eleven's memories, maybe Vecna's memories, not so sure about that, but the fact it is frozen on the exact night Will vanished shows the world is built from Will's mind at that moment. Season 5 will all loop around to this. And from the first 5 minutes of season 5, as you can see, it all circled back to that moment. It shows us a POV perspective of when Will was taken, how it happened. You can almost look at it from a perspective of like the Demigorgon is Lonnie, right? And Lonnie continues to like try to come take Will. Maybe Lonnie was trying to take Will without Joyce knowing. Joyce is at work and Lonnie is trying to come get Will to take him or whatever. But maybe let's say Lonnie needed money and he took Will to the lab to be experimented on. Or this is all trauma you see, but the trauma really confirms when you see at the end of the day, Vecna ends up being with Will on their own. It's cold, it's dark. Think of that from like a little boy's perspective, an 11-year-old, however old he was. And then you can also look at that from Eleven's perspective too. She was cold, isolated, on her own, in the lab. Maybe the lab is like Eleven seeing some trauma. Maybe Dr. Bremner is the Demigorgon in that perspective too. Okay, slight time jump. The upside down is a Dream Warrior's nightmare realm. So just like Nightmare on Elm Street 3, which is the Duffer Brothers did reference for season 5, the villain, Vecna, Freddy, we all kind of seen that already, right, from season 4, traps kid in psychic dream worlds. These worlds are shaped from their kids' own memories, right? Very important going into season 5. Trauma creates the battlefield, right? So Vecna turns Will's psychic snapshot of Hawkins 1983 into his fortress, which I truly believe with season 5 approaching is going to be a huge storyline for season 5. They're all going to be able to equip themselves naturally, like power upgrades, like as far as like D&D style. And they're going to be able to take on, Vecna, who would be like Freddy in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. If you go back and watch the Dream Warriors, they all had upgraded powers. Like they all were able to actually take him on in a dream world. And I think that's as important to Max's storyline in season 5. And even with Max's trauma in 1983, if you see her relationship with Billy and Billy's dad and who they were as people, just imagine what her trauma was in 1983. It would have been the same as Eleven's, as, Will's, in a sense. Like she was dealing with like Billy, being like Brenner to her, controlled everything that she did. And then, Billy's dad was clearly beating up on Max's mom. So this is all trauma. We don't even see her till season 2. But you can only imagine what it was like, why she even had to leave California. It was the birth of Vecna's power surge. Vecna needed 11 to open the gate, a vulnerable target Will, a living memory to base the upside downs form. On November 6th is the moment all 3 lined up. This date becomes the origin of the real world, the original gate, the moment the timeline forked. Season 5 returns to this moment thematically. Yeah, I think it all begins with Will and it all ends with Will. And in this perspective too, I also want to look at like the kids, the mothers in the season as well. Like Joyce Byers is single, right? We know Dustin's mom is single. We see that Mike's parents are together, but you see that all of the kids go hang out over there, which kind of symbolizes like stability, like two-parent households. They have the ability to actually hold a D&D campaign because there's two responsible adults there, you know what I mean? So they're able to actually go play games and be normal kids. And then you see Dustin, you can see later when Erica was just gone for however many hours she was in season 3. I don't know how good of a parents Lucas has. Like, do they really follow up on their kids or know where they are? You know, I'm just kind of looking at like how they're relating the parents and the kids dynamic to where they said their campaign was 10 hours. Like, you know, so they wouldn't have been able to do that at Will's house because, you know, clearly Joyce is gone. Jonathan's not there. Dustin, I don't know if his mom is even capable of having company over the way like her mom is super like paranoid all the time. So that's just another trope that I noticed. All right, so how 1983 horror sci-fi connects this. All right, so Videodrome came out in 1983. The theme signals technology creating hallucinations and alternate realities. Correlation to Stranger Things. The Upside Down is a psychic broadcast, not a real world. So Vecna sends visions, distortions, memories is the same as the Videodrome's imagery. So before you say anything, go back and watch Videodrome, which came out in 1983, and then you tell me how the Duffer Brothers were able to use this in Stranger Things. It's if you're a movie lover, if you're a movie enthusiast, and you can see patterns within movies and imagery, then it shouldn't be hard for you to go back and watch Videodrome, and then you be able to write, I don't know how many plot points between that and Stranger Things. Stay with me here. The Dead Zone, 1983, is a psychic who sees the future through trauma. You know, kind of like how the Will dealt with all of this, and he used the D&D campaign as like, hey, the Demigorgon got me. I rolled a 7, right? Correlation to Stranger Things. Will is the Dead Zone archetype, a psychic trauma link, right? And then Extra, which came out in 1983, the theme, abduction, return, body horror. Will's disappearance, Extra style, they faked it. He was taken, transformed, and he was also linked to another being, which set up season 2, the mind flare, him coughing up what turned out to be a demo dog, whatever we called him. Stay with me. It's all go back and watch the movie. Okay, which brings me to Strange Invaders. What's the theme? Invaders replace or corrupt parts of the town. Correlation to Stranger Things. The season 4 ending, Hawkins becoming a imitation invasion zone. So you can see the lure and the understanding behind that because the Duffer Brothers said since the beginning of season 1, they knew how the whole story was going to end. So very important to the theme. Tales from the Dark Side, 1983 theme. Alternate dimension storytelling where reality twists, freezes, or mirrors. The correlation of Stranger Things, the Upside Down. There's a dark mirror of Hawkins stuck in time, November 6, 1983. Again, highly suggest you watch Strange Invaders, Tales from the Dark Side before season 5 comes out in, I believe, less than 5 days. Let's say, stay with me. Let's go. So theoretically, what is the Duffer Brothers lore message? So number 1, the Upside Down was never a separate planet or an ecosystem. It's a mind-created memory dimension created at a trauma point, right? So 2, Will and 11 share responsibility in his creation, not because they did anything wrong, but because 11 opened the door, Will imprinted the world, Vecna hijacked it, trauma froze it, which, you know, the Duffer Brothers have a yellow and blue strong theme going into season 5. We know it's going to tie into Will expressing his love for Mike. There might be a twist that Mike, you know, is showing his love for Will. For 11, it shows her going out and seeking after like love, but from who, and was it the right love? Even with Mike, was he the right person to actually love her? Because what was going on with Brenner, and then you got Hopper, she was longing for like a male's love. So I see that from like a perspective of like 11's journey and Will's journey. kind of being the same as far as like the trauma part, and both of them helping create the Upside Down. 11's journey is, her journey from Dr. Brenner's abuse, and Will being able to come out comfortably in a 1983 world where these things have to come and be acknowledged. Okay, so the reason season 5 returns to season 1 is all mysteries traced back to the night Will vanished, the first gate, Vecna's manipulation, 11's connection to him, the psychic blueprint of Hawkins, the creation of time frozen in the Upside Down. One of the biggest mysteries us as Stranger Things fans still haven't have resolved. What is the Upside Down? Why is it important to Will vanishing? Why is this stuck on November 6, 1983? The Duffer Brothers will do amazing cliffhanger, heartbreaking way of tying all of that in. I have so many theories on which one will be. I guess I just got to wait till season 5 to figure it out. But I think it's going to point to like a bigger humanly essence of like trauma and abuse that was happening, and when it goes unnoticed, and the television and movies, and oh man, it's gonna be such a reveal when they do the epilogue and they're able to tie everything. But I still have so many theories, it's crazy. So my final answer is like the Upside Down froze in 1983 because it is a psychic trauma construct built from the exact moment 11 opened the gate and Will was taken. A perfect fusion of 1983 horror sci-fi themes, childhood trauma, and Vecna's psychic domination. Season 5 will return to this moment, literally or metaphorically, to close the story. I hope it's one big campaign of them fighting like the three-headed dragon, Thessal Hydra, powers like Harry Potter style, like beams and fire and sorcerer balls, and Lucas being all of them converging. That'll be amazing. So, which is why 1987 definitely matters for season 5. Because season 5 is set around the fall of 1987. The Duffers want to invoke Dream Warriors, which is confirmed by them, Lost Boys, like a vaporwave horror, Hellraiser, which is a body horror, Predator, Survival Squad versus Monster God, RoboCop, government corruption and science experiments, Evil Dead 2, reality distortion. It signals that season 5 will be the darkest, most supernatural, most cinematic, and heavily Dream Warrior, apocalyptic, and body horror influence, which was 1987 was a boom for that, and the Duffers love to pull from this lore. Again, this is a fan theory. The Duffer Brothers included a couple references for us, but I feel like a lot of it, you got to do your own investigation, your own looking into 1987 movie tropes and television tropes to put together your own theory, which is what I did. This is who I think each character is mirroring in season 5. 11, the Predator. Ellen Ripley, the survivor hero archetype. Why? 11 is hunting Vecna, but also directly targeted. She's being hunted by the government. She's tactical, physically, and psychically powerful and leading the attack. This is like the survival against a superior predator, tactical combat, leadership under extreme pressure. Season 5 arc balances offensive, psychic power plus protecting friends, facing Vecna as the ultimate predator, or the Duffers leaving out, there's even a more powerful creature than Vecna, and could Vecna turn and help 11? We don't know. We got to wait. Okay, so Mike Wheeler, he's like the Lethal Weapon Martin Riggs archetype. Hear me out. Emotional, loyal, driven by love, sometimes reckless, always trying to save the group. The themes that it mirrors is like a dual dynamic, trauma-driven heroism, emotional vulnerability as a strength, right? So I think his season 5 arc will be Mike is the heart of the party, keeps the group united, the emotional POV for 11 and Will's story. We know Mike plays a crucial, the yellow and blue theme. Mike has a lot to do with it with Will and 11. Stay tuned. Man, free Max, man. So Max is like A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, Kristen Parker, like the secondary role. Why? Because it's traumatized teen targeted by Vecna, survivor's guilt, must overcome internal and external horror. The themes that are mirrored is psychic struggle, teen mortality stakes, fighting trauma through dreams. Her season 5 arc, Max completes her Dream Warriors arc. She is the battle's emotional and psychic mirror for Will.
Yes, so wouldn't it be crazy if all these teenagers were just in a dream that they were watching a movie? The movie they fell asleep to that night is the movie that played out throughout their dreams. Would be crazy. For Lucas Sinclair, it's like the Lost Boys, Michael, fighter archetype. Why? Protective, brave, grounded, the teen hero type who defends the group. Themes mirrored, a young adult fighting monsters while maintaining empathy, cool energy. Season 5 arc, he's the guardian of Max and the team, provides grounded bravery, helps coordinate the physical battle. Boy, it would be crazy if the Duffers wrapped it up with season 5 goes back to season 1 and each character was watching a movie before they fell asleep and this is how it played out in their dreams. Whoa, that would be crazy. But to get back to this, it's a very D&D campaign style show, but this is who I think Lucas Sinclair will be mirroring in season 5, the Michael fighter archetype. Dustin Henderson. So, inner space, miniaturized insider, clever sidekick. Why? Intelligent, resourceful, creative, often guiding the party through technical or cerebral solutions. Themes mirrored, tech knowledge, inventive problem solving, emotional guidance. Season 5 arc builds weapons, deciphers clues, keeps the California and Hawkins links functioning. But we also know Dustin is dealing with extreme guilt, which will probably make him a very easy target for Vecna. And the loss of Eddie Munson has really changed Dustin, who he is as a person. So this one could be a little switch for season 5. I'm not sure. But he has a lot of inner space vibes for his season 5 arc. You got to go back and watch this movie before you watch Stranger Things 5 to understand the reference. Just a theory. So for Steve Harrington, he's the Predator Lost Boys. He's like the rogue tank sidekick hero. Why? He's physically brave, loyal, humorous, sometimes reckless, but protects the kids. The themes that mirrored is like the street smart heroism, comic relief, plus action hero with his survival instincts. His season 5 arc will probably continues as a team protector, stands on the front line and fights Vecna's minions, but would also put Steve Harrington in a grave amount of danger for season 5. I don't think he made it this long for them to just take him out. So let's go, Steve. Okay, Nancy Wheeler, the Lost Boys, Dream Warriors, veteran investigative hero. Why? She's experienced, she's analytical, she leads the team in uncovering Vecna's strategy because we know Vecna already showed her the vision. Themes mirrored, investigation, tactical thinking, mentor figure, fearless heroism. Season 5 arc guides the party psychologically and strategically, makes key decisions in mindscape battles. You know, that's who Nancy Wheeler has eventually become. She also seems to be in a real world theme. You know, she has the blue and yellow theme between Jonathan and Steve, so we'll see. Robin Buckley, RoboCop technical hero archetype. Why? Smart, logical, procedural, problem-solving, the brains of the operations. The themes mirrored, hacker, investigator role, supporting the frontline heroes, bridging intelligence and action. Season 5 arc keeps the tech mystery side running, monitors Vecna's psychic influence, coordinates party. In D&D lore, she's also known... I have to do that whole video for like who their D&D characters are, but Robin Buckley for the season 5 movie archetype, yeah, that's who she is for season 5. Theory. Erica Sinclair, the Hellraiser rogue, fearless combatant. So why? She's bold, fearless, attacks directly, sharp-witted, thrives in chaos. Themes mirror courage, self-confidence, confronts horrors head-on. Season 5 arc, the rogue of the party makes surprise moves, critical interventions, fearless in the upside-down combat. Yes, sir. Eddie Munson, the Lost Boys outside martyr. Outcast who sacrificed himself for his friends, embodies the teen rebel archetype. Themes mirrored, heroic outsider, misunderstood, martyrdom, ultimate emotional impact. Season 5 arc returns as inspirational figure or memory guiding the Dream Warriors. His legacy fuels the final battle. Hopper, he's like in the Predator movie, the Arnold Schwarzenegger archetype. Rugged, veteran, combat experience, father figure, fights creatures head on. The themes that are mirrored, lone wolf hero, survivalist, tactical leadership. His season 5 arc protects the California Hawkins link, engages Vecna's physical minions, anchors 11. So, you know, this is all about Hopper being able to actually be there to fight. Like, he wasn't able to do anything when his daughter passed away in the series technically, but now he can directly be there to help battle like 11, who's like, he can help his daughter.
Dr. Owens, the RoboCop like mentor archetype. Why? Bureaucratic, logical, tactical, operates in morally gray territory. Themes Mary provides the guidance while staying pragmatic, moral compass yet constrained by protocol. Season 5 arc advises the team, ensures resources maintain scientific strategy against Vecna. Dr. Owens will be huge in helping 11 story too.
My theory, the Duffers are basically running season 5 like a 1987 blockbuster mashup. Dream Warriors is the Hawkins horror arc. Lost Boys is the teen outsider rebellion and survival. Predator and RoboCop is the physical strategic combat and mentorship, like the government, everybody chasing after 11. Hellraiser Evil Dead 2 is the body horror plus mind space stakes. So season 5 is literally a 1987 horror sci-fi plus Dream Warriors final battle plus Lost Boy teams apocalypse, all fused into one mega finale. But I want to mix in a little Harry Potter in there because I think the final battle for the boys and their D&D will play a big, huge part of this. So we just got to wait and see. But yeah, we can't leave out Joyce Byer. So she is like the Ellen Ripley, like the alien and the predator archetype. Her role is like the relentless protector, motherly but fearless survivor who will do anything to save her child, emotional anchor for the team. In 1987, and like when it comes to D&D, parallels Ripley and Predator style horrorism. She's willing to go into the monster's lair, the Upside Down, the Russian prison, Vecna's domain to rescue Hopper or the kids, right? In D&D, she's a ranger rogue hybrid, guiding the party, exposing hidden traps, and saving party members in dangerous terrain. Her season 5 arc will probably be she leads missions into Upside Down linked areas, keeps Hopper and the kids grounded emotionally. Also, Hopper, Dutch, the Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger archetype. I know I already went over this, but I want to go a little deeper. For Hopper, his archetype is a rugged veteran warrior, lone wolf survivalist with tactical experience, father figure mentor. In 1887, and how it relates to D&D. Matches the Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger vibes. Physically tough, resourceful, improvises weapons, leads smaller teams. In D&D, he's the frontline tank fighter who protects the party, breaks obstacles, and sacrifices for allies. Season 5 arc acts as the muscle and protector for Hawkins' kids, takes strategic roles in combat against Vecna or the Upside Down creatures, potential mentor to Will 11 on how to handle psychic warfare. Looking forward to Hopper.